This segment is sponsored by Michigan Auto Law. There's some good news and some bad news when it comes to speeding related crashes in Michigan. The most recent data shows they're more frequent, but they're not as bad as they used to be. Attorney Brandon Hewitt is here from Michigan Auto Law to talk about the dangers of fast driving. And Brandon, is it possible that the pandemic for a couple of years impacted these numbers so we went down a bit, but we weren't on the roads much?
Yeah, so we're kind of down from 2019, right? But people are just driving less. So probably the number of crashes per car on the road is up, even if the total number is down. But the number of crashes are up since 2021. So we can see it still moving in a direction we don't like.
Yeah, and sadly, many of those speed-related crashes are involving serious injury and even death.
Yeah, so speed, first of all, is the number one contributing factor to auto accidents in Michigan and really all around the country, followed closely by distracted driving, but speed is still number one. And the faster you go, the bottom line is, the more serious the crash is going to be. Some really interesting videos online that people can look at. The difference between a 30-mile-an-hour crash and an 80-mile-an-hour crash is incredible, and it's just so dangerous to be driving too fast out there.
There are several aspects about speeding that make it particularly dangerous, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So number one, as the speeding driver, it reduces your ability to react, right? So your ability to make course corrections or to, make a decision quickly is just reduced. Number two, speeding increases the inability to brake and stop effectively. So it's kind of a factor of two. So if your speed doubles, the ability for you to brake actually reduces by a factor of 4. So it takes 4 times as long to drop if your speed is doubling. So that's super dangerous. Also, for other drivers on the road, trying to understand a speed of an oncoming vehicle is very difficult. And if you're speeding, it makes it even harder. If somebody thinks that you're in a 45-mile-an-hour zone, they assume you're traveling 45, you're actually traveling 60. That's hard for you to understand as that vehicle is approaching you. So it just increases that risk of danger even more.
Do we know if faster speed limits on the roads lead to more crashes?
Yeah, this was an interesting decision by the government a few years ago. What we saw is an increase in speed limits on some of these kind of more northern rural expressways. They increased the limits from 70 to 75 miles an hour, which a lot of people like because they think there's not as many cars on the road. But unfortunately, there was a lot more crashes in the 2 years of study after those speed limits went into effect. Total crashes rose by almost 17%. Fatal injury crashes were up by more than a third, more than 30%. So it was just not a great idea from a safety standpoint. And we're seeing some more serious crashes happening.
Do you have some recommendations for drivers then to stay safe?
Yeah. So to drive the speed limit, obviously, first of all, it's the easy one, right? What helps you drive the speed limit is if you're not in a rush, right? So something, your parents probably told you growing up is, leave somewhere early, right? Don't be late to things. If you are, call ahead and tell people that you're going to be late so that you're not rushing. Allow more time for your trips. If somebody is speeding around you, sometimes we're stubborn and we want to not let them go around. Just let them go around you. If you see a car approaching fast from behind, let them go around you. Stay out of that far left lane that is for faster speeds. That's actually state law in Michigan that you should stay in the right lane unless you're going to be passing in the left lane. But other than that, keep a lot of vigilance, especially at intersections. A lot of people don't know that you actually give up your right of way at an intersection if you are speeding. So, if you claim that somebody's running a red light or a stop sign, if you are speeding, you could actually be found at fault for causing that crash. Even though somebody else did something wrong, you give up your right of way if you're speeding.
All right. Well, some terrific advice. Thank you for that, Brandon. And if you'd like to seek the advice of an attorney, call Michigan Auto Law 833-411-MISH or visit michiganautolaw.com. Thanks.
Thank you.